The Treasury Department promulgating a rule to block plans to bypass state and local tax deduction, the cap on them, by making charitable contributions to state-sponsored funds. This as states continue to pass workaround rules to help taxpayers offset higher taxes, or really higher federal taxes, because the state and local deduction has been limited. So far, 33 states offer a state tax credit to residents who donate to education and other state-related endeavors. Joining us is Dan Malloy, the governor of Connecticut, which has the second highest local taxes in the country and one of the top 10 property tax burdens in the country. Governor, welcome. Good to have you with us.
Great to be with you.
Why do you think this is a bad idea for the Treasury to step in here? And it would not merely, as I understand it, affect states like Connecticut or like New Jersey, where I live, that have set up these special purpose ways to get around the loss of the state and local tax deduction, but it would affect other such funds in other lower tax states as well, wouldn't it?
A sales tax as well. You go out and buy a car and you pay some income tax and some property taxes, and all of a sudden you don't get a write-off because the Trump administration, the Republicans in the Congress of the United States have decided that they're going to tear up our Constitution. You know, the income tax in the United States came about in 1861 as a result of the Civil War, and it has, from that day forward, been sacrosanct. The protection of local governments and state governments to have their own taxing policy, and that would be deductible. Well, the Republicans came along, they won some elections, and they decided to tear that up. And in essence, what they're going to do is raise the taxes on the middle class in America very significantly. Almost 200,000 families in Connecticut will pay additional taxes as a result of these changes. And that's true in state after state after state. It's not just what you might call high tax states. It's 33 states have figured this out. Many of them having Republican leadership have figured this out, that this is horrendous for people living in their jurisdictions. And I will also go one step further. It is a punishment of some states that have protected a strong public educational system. In Connecticut, 60 to 80% of all municipal taxes, property taxes, which is what they are in Connecticut, go to support education. In this very same bill that limits the deductibility of that tax that people in Connecticut are paying, they also passed rules that allow people to write off costs associated with private education. It makes no sense. Connecticut has the best readers in the country in grade 12. We have the second or third best educational system in America. We've protected that system because we funded that system, and now we're going to be punished for it.
I guess the counter argument that some would make, I suppose, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, is
Sure.
that by setting up a charitable donation to a state, which the charitable donations are still sort of covered, you can deduct them if you don't take the standard deduction, is really kind of an artful tax dodgery. How do you respond to that counter argument, that this is really a sort of fictive way to avoid the federal law?
Well, because, and that's why I tell you the little tale about what property taxes are in many states. They're the tax that supports education. So I understand what you're saying, and you understand what I'm saying. If we don't want educational expenses to be deductible, why did we create a deduction for private education? It makes no sense. Quite frankly, I don't know what they were thinking about. And you know, what's very interesting in the current climate, you know, the president wants Republicans to talk about the tax change. They don't want to talk about this because as this particular mess becomes understood in local community after community, people are saying, well, wait a minute, you promised me that I was going to get a tax reduction. Well, guess what, folks? 83% of the Republicans' tax proposal goes to 1% of the population. That reduction, 83%, 1. We're talking about trillions of dollars. We're also talking about blowing trillions of dollars a hole in our entire budget. And how do they do that? They do it by punishing people in the middle class in state after state after state.
And I think Republicans would answer in part, or the people who supported this would answer in part, that the disappearance or the limiting of the state and local tax deduction and other things is counter acted by, offset in some cases 100% by the fact that the standard deduction is raised, number one. Number two, that tax rates and the bracket step-up points are lower than they would have been. And in fact, in my case, my accountant told me, and I am in the highest property tax state in the country, that my taxes will probably rise something on the order of $2,000 when all is said and done. I was prepared for much more damage than that. How do you answer the idea here that overall the damage may be mitigated by the fact that brackets are going to be lower and rates are going to be lower?
Well, how did it make you feel when President Trump decided he was going to raise your taxes $2,000? I mean, you're asking me a very interesting question, and it's a very fair one. Most people would say, well, I guess the president was lying to us because he told us he cut our taxes. Well, he cut taxes, but he cut them for his friends, the top 1%. You're obviously not one of the top 1%, and I'm sorry for that reality. But you're being lied to and have been lied to by the national Republican infrastructure that's now running away as fast as they can from this particular problem, not just in New Jersey or New York or Connecticut or Massachusetts or Washington State or Oregon or California, but state after state. As you said, 33 states have already taken the steps that we're trying to take. Yes.
Let's go to the cold hard facts then. What have you seen in terms of the impact on your state, whether it be property values or the number of people moving to the state or moving out of the state? What can you tell us so far?
You know, I think most people don't understand the implications. People understand taxes when they have to write out the check. And so this has not been a problem yet. And it's only starting to sink in. But it's also starting to sink in by the fact that Republicans don't want to talk about it, which is a very clear sign that there's reason to hope that sanity will prevail.
Is there an impact in your state so far?
Well, almost 175, 200,000 families will receive a tax increase as a result of this change. Yes, there's impact.
Why not, if you're feeling this impact, why not cut taxes in Connecticut?
I think some communities cut taxes on a basis when they do revaluations. But why are we attacking education? I mean, again, I'll go back to this point that I've made. We have the second or third best educational system, public educational system in the nation. Our 12th graders read better than anyone else in the country. We've invested money on a local basis to make sure that we have quality schools in most districts in the state of Connecticut. Why should I be, if I send my children to public school, why should I be penalized in the very same bill that is now allowing people to write off tuition for private schools?